getting any royalties or residuals and won't be nominated for any awards, so I'll do my best. I'm going to try to leave the lights on, just because there will be a few things I would prefer to read, and in the dark I don't have good option. But if you can't see the images okay, I can turn off the front lights. Can you hear me? Now, we have a couple people, and I'm not going to point that side of the room, that we're expecting ghost stories and things today. So if you feel a little bump in the dark, look at them, not me. I'll start the memory project. The memory project is now for organization. You may be familiar with the Heritage Minute that used to be on television on a variety of historical topics. The memory project is a speaker's bureau of that, a veteran to speak about the military service. Mine was pretty uneventful, so I basically used the occasion to speak for those who are no longer with us to talk about their service and who they were, etc. And that will be what we'll do today. But on Friday night, I'm at Mexico North End for a roast beef meal. Anybody else been there other than Eileen? 322 times? I'm 322 times.
What's that in the plaza?
Down the plaza, Lansdowne Place, the Fairview Plaza, $20 roast beef buffet Friday night, better than a Big Mac meal at McDonald's. So that's where we're at Friday night. Eileen and I are there sometimes for 2 hours, 3 hours. Our breakfast is now 4 hours and like 2 minutes. And one night she was joined by a friend, Carol Addison, who wasn't able to make it today. And she goes, I got a bugle from a roll from the First World War. I said, don't know what to do with it. You know, if you want it, I'm going to throw it out or whatever. So of course I said, yeah. So as soon as I said yes and saw the bugle, he did the research. Well, you're going to find part of that research here today. Female empowerment in the First World War, St. John connection, and basically when civilian women went to the battlefields in France. Unheard of. So this is Eileen in the blue and Carol in the front. And this is the bugle. Wow. I'm not going to play it. What? I don't want to scare you. Maybe we can bring one of those ghosts here to play it right away. So she brought it in and said, you know, it's a relative who was in the First World War. His name was William Lovett. So I looked, no serial numbers, no name, what have you, no regiment. And she goes, well, it's been in the family ever since. So it's never left the family. It was, I believe, he left it to his niece, who was the aunt of Carol. I think she's about 15 years old. So that's what I have. So now I got to find a First World War soldier by the name of William Lovett. And what, the 3, 4, 5 months, I've been having lots of fun. Now, in the First World War period, the typical roles for female women at this time were teachers or nurses. And if you weren't a teacher or a nurse, then you may be, as the expression goes, barefoot in the kitchen. You become a housewife. But what you didn't normally become is a tradesperson. In the First World War, especially 1917, which will be my focus, opened up a lot of opportunities for women in industry, which we'll look at. Dr. William F. Roberts in 1917, that is his introduction when he put forward a bill that the Brunswick legislature said we should give women the vote. It took 2 years, 1919, before women were in the rest to give the vote. Some of you may remember on Boston Avenue there's a munitions plant for a foundry called Macavitie's. It's where the superstore is today. They also have a plant down at Fairfield Armory. They have a plant on Waterloo Street where the old Coast Guard base was funded. Heat is going now. So these are a few working in a non-traditional. McAvity's had a contract with the American military to produce 9.2 ammunition for the First World War. The lady on the very hard left, I knew her. And although this is a step forward for women, the money gets the votes, people start to realize that there's more to capabilities of women than being nurses or teachers or just being a housewife. I will not show you the name, but this is the payroll register for some of those women. And it continues to show the attitude to a lot. Now, this is the man who was paying these women to work at that plant. The twin sisters, I won't say who, one worked for 4 days, 19th to the 23rd of January, one worked from the 20th to the 23rd of January. Their experience for one was very colored, or she was discharged from irregularity. You know, not working there 2 or 3 days, how irregular are you going to be? But it's 3 marks. Short, she and her sister had quite a reputation. One police court affair, and they left town with a circus episode. Remarks for her sister. She the sister. So, police court affair, that would be either drunkenness or prostitution, usually what they were. I think I know the family. That's why I'm not going to identify who these ladies are. But his payroll register has a lot of these type of things for her husband's overseas, and she's been intimate with every man in town. Or she's a great worker, but her husband is no good son-in-law. He committed suicide because he's insane. Those type of comments that slow that whole payroll register. So, you ladies have come a long ways in 1917. But let's take a look at William Lovell. William was born in Glasgow in 1893. As a young boy, he was brought over to work through the Coster program, worked on a Coster farm up in the Gaytown area. He joined the military in 1915. He was invalided back to Canada in 1918, where he then caught influenza, the flu, was in the military hospital, discharged, served through the Second World War as a Veterans Guards Canada, worked at the Power, and then died at the Lancaster Bugle Hospital in 1959. But in his service file, gives me his description. He's 5'2". Peter, how tall are you? 5'4". Let's say, how tall are you? Okay, Peter, stand up, Peter. You're tall. You're William. Whereas I was someone getting shorter than William. But look, under birth, he's a bugler. Well, see, we have a bugle in the family that belonged to him. He's a bugler in his regiment. His regiment was a 26th New Brunswick Battalion. And we take a look at the band, and there he is in the back row with his bugle, kicking out directly down there. And his service file contains a lot of information about his service. He didn't spend a lot of time at the front. He served in Canada, England, and France, and discharged as medically unfit. He was awarded 3 medals for his First World War service, which I have up here with me. So as Harold was bringing all the stuff and see what else do you have? Oh, we got some pictures. We got a bit of a diary. We got some letters. His wife collected a lot of autographs. That was her thing. So we got nice autographs of Franklin Roosevelt and the Prime Minister and all those things. And they had one son, which we'll talk about shortly, but I was big into the RCAF. And here's the son's photograph album for his Second World War service and Royal Canadian Air Force. So this is stuff that there's nobody in the family, no place to get it. Of course, I said, well, I can help tell his story. But there's one more little piece on it. I got here, I'm not going to show it to you right yet. It's what really got me going. Have you ever heard of Google? Mm-hmm. No? Anyone ever used Google? Came down there in grade 2 and 3, they all know how to use Google. I use Google too, and there's something like 25,000 hits. When I first started with the next piece of information. But one of the things, but William Lovett, and I'm going to have to, if you can't read it, I will read it here. He was in confinement, awaiting trial, 15th of May, 1917 to the 28th of May, 1917. Tried and convicted by Field General Court Martial, 28th of May, went on the following after with leave from 2 p.m. on the 10th of May to 6 p.m. on the 15th of May. So basically 5 days he disappeared without permission. He was found guilty and sentenced to 30 days field punishment number 1 on the 28th of May, 1917. Confirmed by Lieutenant Colonel T.L. Trombley, who was then the commanding officer of what today we would call the 22nd Regiment of Van Hughes in Montreal. He then retired as a major general, very significant military officer. Okay, so he disappears in May. He's in France, service officer, he's in France, but for a period of time in May, he disappears. Where does he go? Now, the record, I'm completely clear, but I said, you feel punishment number 1. They place him in fetters or chains around the ankle, handcuffed, attached to a fixed object, gun wheel, a fence post, sometimes 2 hours a day, you're managed, and you're chained to an object. A General Field Court Martial is the most severe type of court martial you could have, because some decisions of the Field General Court Martial could result in execution. So here's a guy that disappears. Cowardice was a big thing in the First World War. If he disappeared because he was a coward, now we don't know what the testimony was because we don't have the record of the court martial itself. But remember the date. May he disappears. Where do you think he went? Well, in December 17th, he's given permission to marry this young lady here. When you look at the service file, there's only one time period that he probably could meet a woman. May, when he disappears for a period of time. As we'll find out in her story, she was in France. So Elizabeth Fritcham was born in, gotta get it all here, Croydon, England. Elizabeth Mary Fritcham. One of the other documents was a real nice marriage certificate, which came into play shortly. So he disappears. Research shows that this lady is actually in France in May of 1917. So a few months later, they get married. Now, if you've done any research on military and marriages and all that sort of thing, because they met this day, they got married this day, and when was the kid born? A month or 2 later, did they have to get married? No, they did not have to get married. They never show up because their son William, or Billy, who was in the Air Force, wasn't married until over a year after they were married. One of the other documents that she had was the emergency certificate of British nationality. Basically, this gave her permission to get aboard a ship and immigrate to Canada. And in 1918, when he came back to Canada as medically unfit, she came to Canada as his wife. So I'm piecing together all of these little tiny bits and pieces of information. So we know he's a bugler. How tall was Peter?
5'2".
5'2". I've already suggested to you that she's not 5'2".
Wow.
Here's the wind cord.
Whoa.
So they have to stand on a chair to cut the wind cord. That's my favorite book.
Jeez, how
tall is she?
Shorter than 5'2". As you can see on the left, she's quite a shorter than
4'8".
No, I haven't found any record yet that says she's 4'6" or 4'7". Yeah. She's buried for a hill. No, I'm not gonna go measure the coffin. But you can tell that she's short. They have to get on a chair to cut the wedding cake. This is December 1917. He's in uniform. Then the photo on the right, there's way here, there's a man in uniform here, and there's a man with a beard and mustache, quite a dapper looking guy here. Everybody else are all women. Well, I got the marriage certificate, and there's two men listed. There's a William somebody, because I can't read the writing, and then there's somebody else, which I'll introduce right now. Because one of the things that Carolyn also had was this little tiny patch. It says 1917, so I gave me a date to start, and it has the initials WGT. But when you Google WGT, 10,000, 20,000, there's lots of hits. And it took a couple months. I had a lot of, because she was from England, he served in England, she was in France, he served in France. So I went overseas. It took a couple months before somebody finally said, oh, we think his name is Tarrant, T-A-R-R-A-N-T. Oh. So I go back to the marriage, and there's a Walter George Tarrant. Okay, and then we have the same initials, we have a name, so I do a bit of research on him. Well, here's the wedding photo outside the church. Now, the tradition in a military wedding, there was these hot swords, not soft. I actually cut myself today, so we have a bit of tape on. That's the military tradition. But why in heaven's name do they have crossed swords? A question. It's a clue. And then I get really close. And I go, wait a minute. Who's that guy at the back? He's in the other photo, down as a witness. So I Googled him. And I find some pictures. And the pictures I find for William, or Walter George Tarrant, is the same pictures of that man there. So this is Walter George Tarrant. But I still got this little triangle. Because it is, why would William Lovett or his wife Elizabeth have a little triangle patch? Well, see, there's Walter George Tarrant right there. So we know he was at the wedding. We've got photographs as part of the wedding party. I'm going to take a wild guess that he doesn't know William at all, but he knows Elizabeth. Well, then we find this newspaper article. Women leave for France. They're called the Terrence Angels. Well, let me see if I can find what if you have a hard time reading, I will read what it is. 17 of Terrence Angels, as wounded soldiers at Bugle, called women carpenters. Women carpenters. They left the service in France on Monday. The wounded soldiers went to the local station and cheered them as they left. The girls have given each other men's names for their men's work. They're known as Jack, Joe, and Jim. Some of the girls mean to go to Belgium after the war to help reconstruct the buildings. Never a lighter-hearted party left for France. They wore khaki uniforms with peaked caps and a badge bearing the initials of their firm, WGT. Never a lighter-hearted party left for France. Okay? That's it. They have been trained for 5 weeks and feel confident to help build huts for the army. These are civilian women going to the battlefront to construct as carpenters, electricians, draftsmen, etc., etc. And sure enough, that's what she's wearing on her left arm. There's her badge, WCT. So Elizabeth, turns out, she was a WPT. She was a church angel. She was in France in May of 1917. When William went on leave, he did not go on leave to England. He went on leave still in France. That is the only time that he was away from his unit that he put in that Elizabeth. That is when she was there building huts for the army. And again, December they get married, but they did not have to get married. Remember that? The son was born over a year later. Thank goodness the Imperial War Museum has good digital records. They have a large collection of photographs of the ladies in Calais, France. As you see here, hammering, nails, cutting, planing, building doors, building windows. Of course, I'm trying to find a picture of Elizabeth in these groups. I haven't succeeded yet to see if she's in any of these photos. Now, Elizabeth sadly died quite young. She died in 1945. She was around 45, 46 years old. Buried in Fern Hill, and William lived until 1959. One son became a very famous newspaper reporter in St. John. Then eventually he gets into the civil service nationally and becomes very well known as a deputy minister in a variety of departments in Ottawa in the 1950s, 60s. So Billy still has some research to have done on him. This is what they built. Scrap wood. And they built 500 of them. This is what the men were being sheltered. Either this or tents. I would take one of these before I take a tent.
What did the packing cases have in them, Harold?
Pardon me?
The packing cases.
The packing cases could have had anything. They could have had food, they could have had ammunition, uniforms, tents. They're just shipping crates. Today we use pallets and stuff like that. So this is what these ladies were building. Carrick had a contract with the British government to build these. He also had something else that is interesting. He built what was then the world's largest airplane. It didn't fly, mind you. Somebody said, oh, everybody in England, building the world's largest. If any of you are familiar with the silver goose?
First goose? Goose.
Yeah, the goose, yeah.
Howard Hughes.
Howard Hughes aircraft. Apparently this one was larger than his goose. And I think man get 5 feet off the ground to 5 feet. Now this is where the ladies lived. Same type of house. But notice they're painted, they got curtains on the windows, they got window boxes with poppy flowers, they got a garden in front. So, if I'm going to build a place for myself, I want to look at that, to be to that. These are our troops, or we can downgrade a little bit. So 3 miles from Calais in 1917. And you take real close look, and I this is what I do for the kids in grade 3, 4, and 5. Look in the window, you know that she Elizabeth, she didn't want to wait. She just went, she went to the bathroom, she came back. Of course, then you get these little kids looking very close, and they finally clue in. She's not in that bathroom. Well, this is what Elizabeth did. This is when William met her. They didn't have much of a time to court, because it was only, what was it, the 5th to the 15th. No, the 10th, they only had about 5 days to get to know each other. Then 2 months later, they get married. Oh, I suspect that they may have written letters back and forth to aren't in the collection, but whatever the family had left of his and hers, I now have up here with me. So, that is the introduction to a story that's continuing. This is, I think, the 3rd time I've done this. Each time I do it, it grows and grows. I'll get 2 or 3 more times in the next few months, and I have more to add to it. But the First World War, to send civilian tradespeople, first, again, there were no really women tradespeople at the time. Again, nurses, and there were lots of nurses at the time, both Canadian military, the American, and the British military. taking civilian ones, all you ladies here, all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Some of you might be a bit older than needed, but we're going to show you how to be a carpenter, an electrician. 5 weeks. Then we're going to send you to where the guys are fighting. We're going to build some hospitals. Now, the ladies all had entertainment, so there are several photos of them dancing and singing, dressed up like men, and dressed up like women too, of course. I have a report on his work and what they did. I'm still reading it, about 300 pages long. So I'm slowly going through it to extract, again, a bit more information that I can add to this presentation. Anyways, I'm going to keep quiet for a moment and see if any of you have any questions. Great.
Very interesting here, a little kind of like a detective story here, right? So thinking like an editor or maybe a Netflix series project picture. All right, I already have the first three episodes written in my head. On Elizabeth's file, I saw a car lab pool or something like that. You know, that you had Elizabeth's file. She had like a little card file. I don't know if you've been able to figure out what that meant. Oh, yeah, car lab pool. It said C4. No, go back to the file. It was like a file on her there. No, just the one that has her picture. Oh, yeah. And C4. That's of interest to me.
This one here?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. So this, what's it say? Is it car lab?
Oh, okay. No, okay. This is from William's military service file.
Oh, it's his file. Sorry. Okay, gotcha. Okay.
It says,
yeah.
Tragedy in the Canadian labor pool,
Oh.
taken on strike to 25th side, taken on strike to the Canadian labor pool, granted Michigan area.
Okay.
In the military, first war and second war, you just couldn't bury anybody you want. You had to commit.
Yeah. Okay.
Most of the time it was yes. Sometimes it's where you have to, or sometimes it's where you got one of those temporary girlfriend diseases. You got to take care of that first, or if you can't, you don't have to risk the marriage. You're only number for 2 days.
So that's his file.
That's his.
So does that mean that he was sent to some sort of labor service, like Canadian labor pool?
Yes.
Okay.
He did come out a lot of fighting.
Yeah.
As a infantryman.
Yeah. C4, I think that's a British military hospital in the south coast of England, but I could be wrong. I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah, because we found out through one of the talks that this society organized a few years ago that my mother's uncle, who died on the troop ship on the way over in World War I, is buried in a military hospital near that C4 hospital, I think. The other thing, did you say that he was the husband was it the Cotter home? The Cotter
Cotter Farm.
Oh, you just want to tell people that some of them may know, but that's home children. I just want to explain that.
There were several programs in the late 19th, early 20th century to bring orphans and other children from England working on farms. There's a lot of research on the general term home children. The Cotters are in the Gagetown area. There's one farm. Most of I've read, when you read it, it seems that every kid was abused and overworked and treated just like an indentured slave, etc., etc., etc. I did know several they've all passed that were young children in the early part of the 20th century, and they all had same thing. You know, you go to work at 6 in the morning, you finish at 8 at night. You get ready once a day, maybe twice a day, you know, you get a bit of soup. Just for rent the story. And then you'll have the, I think, odd case where they're just out, you know, the husband and wife, the owner, treated us well, fed us well, clothed us well, gave us some education. And some of these groups in England, you know, the home, you know, the divided Barnardo was another one. They have some pretty amazing records where they came and checked every year or every couple of years on the children. There are photographs and reports. A lot of great stuff. He was one of them. And he was, what, 15? Born in 1983. So he was roughly 22 years old when he joined, which was getting on, because a lot of the early years in his, that age, 18, 19, 20, bumping adventure. None of all those guys, Gary, Nelson, what's your name again, sir? The right reverend. I mean, we're all too old to serve. But I mean, you go through some of these files, you realize that there are guys that are listening at 45. I had one guy who was World War, First War, and Second World War. And he was an old guy at the First World War. And he was ancient in the Second World War. And you know what? Put on better makeup on you, let me know. You look like Rick. Okay. Any other comments, questions, thoughts?
I certainly have a whole bunch, but I don't want to monopolize.
Well, no one else is gonna ask a question, you ask it.
Okay, well,
They'll all learn.
maybe it'll get rid of their shyness if I keep laughing. So would you describe this guy, by the way, he looks like a character out of a Netflix show, the boss, but,
Yeah, Walter.
yeah, so he's a civilian contractor, basically, who's trained, who's had these women trained, and off to France they go?
I said, there's an awful lot, okay, he was, let's see, there's actually several books written about him. But one of the things that he did, I believe you remember, is he actually developed the first subdivision, what traditionally we would call a subdivision today. He built in England just after the First World War. He built a lot of properties for us. He was in this as a businessman. I don't think he made any money. Again, that's sure that's tough pages to continue to read for this particular project, but it was for God, King, and country. So you did what you could. And you couldn't hire men because they're already in the uniform guard fighting. So you go to the next best thing, which is all these women who are housewives or unmarried, and they want to do their part. So, and same thing, when you look at the MacReady's payroll register, some of it, I mean, I showed you only for me, the most colorful comments. But there are some comments where, you know, these women are outperforming every guy in the plant. You know, I wish I had a whole plant of, you know, Meg. She's not awesome. The only thing I can't figure out is the pay, because the pay is all in code. KXO and JXO and, you know, MP3 or whatever. No idea what the code is.
Anyone else? Because I can ask some questions all day. Okay, I never really knew this. Did band members fight normally, or were they kind of behind the scenes sort of people? If you're in a regimental band, are you carrying a rifle?
They're all trained soldiers.
Okay, trained. But do they go into the trenches?
Oh, yeah.
They do. Okay.
Just like the regimental band that we have in North today. They are trained infantrymen. They do this thing.
So hopefully you have a backup bugler, right? World War I.
Yeah, well, in the band photo, you know, there's several buglers.
Yeah.
And several drummers.
Okay. Yeah. And my final question, but the other question I had was the comment on the 17-year-old girl. And one level is kind of shocking, but if you think about it, in the 1800s, children were working in factories, but you're thinking of a 17-year-old girl now working in a bomb factory. Seems very strange,
Yeah.
But I guess, you know, young people want to work, you know, early back then, and there was a shortage of.
Well, the payroll registers, these are the first women that we have hired in that division.
Yeah.
Again, weren't men, because they're already in uniform.
Yeah.
But for me, it was, you know, just all the sexist comments that he made, his rating comments about some of these women. And I said, I did know one of the women showed you before. Fortunately, the remarks in the book about her were very positive. Good worker, here for a short time, she moved to Massachusetts, which is how I tracked her down back in the late 80s and early 90s.
Well, I know in the this is turning into a conversation, but in the 19th century, women were paid 50 to 60% of what men were paid in factories, so who knows what it was by then. And my final, I think this will be my final thing, because I don't want to bore people. I think you may have mentioned it in your talk, but what did the couple do? What did, this is first thing Walter, I'm trying to remember.
So after they got married?
When he came back to St. John.
Okay, well, he worked for NB Power.
Okay, yeah.
That's Power Commission.
Yeah.
She was a mother.
Was it technical work you did, or was it office?
It doesn't say,
Yeah.
it says she was a
Yeah.
Fort Langley college.
Okay, yeah,
But her hobby, she did collect stamps, she collected autographs.
all right.
And in her obituary, made note that, her thing was collecting autographs. And I have some here. And the most famous one probably is Franklin Roosevelt. And I watched TV enough that I looked, is it an original signature? Is it done by a secretary, or is it just a stamp?
All right.
I think it's a stamp. Because pawn stars would say it's an original signature is worth a lot of money.
Yes.
It's not, it's just a stamp.
Okay. Okay.
And, another St. John connection, Franklin Roosevelt, collected a lot of model ships. And he has a few from the St. John, model shipbuilder. And one of the letters that he wrote to the ship, he made note that he bought his alcohol from Furlong's liquor store at the foot of Princess Street.
Yeah.
Now, when you read the rest of it, it's only when he comes back to life.
Yes.
But still, President buying his booze
Yeah.
from the St. John store.
It was the best liquor store in Eastern Seaboard. If you wanted Irish whiskey, anyway.
Well, I wouldn't know about anything like that, I meant.
Harold, did you come across anybody that was drummed out of the service?
Drummed out of the service? Yes, Lieutenant Colonel McAvitt,
Yeah.
25th Battalion. He was court-martialed in disgrace for stealing a lot of money from his men. He was, he lost his rank, he lost his medals, he lost his pension. He appealed it, took 10 years to appeal, and at the end of the appeal, they said, you're guilty to sin. So no, and I never made this public until somebody else did it for him, and then he committed suicide. He's the only one that I'm aware of that St. John did.
Well, the junior officer by the name of Earl Logan was caught up in that too, wasn't he?
Earl Logan was caught in that too,
Yeah.
who became later a judge.
Yeah.
But he appealed.
Yeah.
And he was successful, and there was a regimental sergeant major who was also convicted in that particular crime, and sentenced to 7 years in hard labor. But that is the only one that I've researched that I know. I suspect theory is probably collusion. And if he had done this, he did this in Suffolk and in St. John. If he had done it in France and had the same conviction, it would be execution. If he had been at the battlefront and done this, he considered would have been sentenced to execution.
Right.
So he's no longer Lieutenant Colonel McAvitt. He lost his rank. He is now Mr. McAvitt.
What year was that?
1918, 19.
Right after the war.
Yeah. Well, it started after he came back. He had a great service record up until this bad set. He was outstanding in what he did in terms of leading his troops.
Do we have any other comments or questions? Harold usually stays out there and talk to people one-on-one and just see if there's anything else from anyone. I just want to.
Rick, do you have a question back here?
I just wanted to comment.
Yeah.
I mean, you talked about the big wages that women made in the 1920s, 1920s. In the 1970s, I always made less than men. And I was a reporter, and I trained people who had no training, and I had a degree, and I had experience, and I got paid less than they did because they had families.
So you were like in the newsroom, a bunch of men?
Oh, yeah, well, yeah, it was a small newspaper
Yeah.
Newspaper at the time. I left it, stayed a year, and then I went somewhere
Yeah.
else, and I got paid as much as anybody else.
Yeah.
But at the time, and I argued it, and I fought it, because I said, it makes no difference. He has no training, he can't even spell, he doesn't know what he's doing. And he said, well, he has children. I said, okay, I have a widowed mother and 7 siblings
Yes.
of 4. Now do I get more money? So my boss, because the owner wouldn't give me any more money, he gave me a vacuum cleaner. It was one, he'd gotten a new one. So he gave me
Oh.
one. And I thought,
You thought I was hoping for a blender.
I didn't even cook then. I was much less.
I think that problem is still with us.
I think
Yeah.
that's changed.
So just to illustrate part of the thought process that I did, as I said, Eileen and I go to lectures, we have tea sometimes, a couple times a week anyway. And 1917 became a pivotal year this Robert Jett stuff, so I started reading it, and, oh, wait a minute, 1917 is when he began, not everybody else, he said, we should give women the vote. A lot more to women than just being a teacher and a lot of things. So he started the whole process of you getting the vote.
Yeah.
We all know Dr. William F. Roberts, you know, the first,
Public health.
public health officer,
Yeah.
Minister of Public Health in the British Commonwealth.
Yeah.
So there's a lot, but all of a sudden I realize now, and I was able to tie his work with his goal thinking into, again, the 1917, that's the date that's on the patch. That's when they met in France, May of 1917. He paid the price. Some people would say, he had to marry her. Well, he didn't have to marry her. He chose to marry her. So he had a very good investment.
All that stuff that I had on William F. Roberts is in that, thing off the hospital that's at the head of Garden Street there. They invited
The
people
time
to put some time capsules, and I put it all in one of those
Yeah.
time capsules.
Well, it's been great. I encourage people to stay, talk to Harold. Again, we have a little merch table in the back for our fundraising effort for the Dr. Stevenson's Civil War sword. We're trying to bring back to Brunswick. And again, my Netflix jokes all aside, there's really human interest there. You know, the idea that the guy was risking field punishment. Wouldn't this be a great scene in a Netflix show? He's strapped to a cannon under shell fire and he snuck off for 5 days for his true love. And the other thing I thought was very charming that you mentioned that the women were reported as giving themselves men's names. That's very, kind of charming, but it also says something about the society at the time. So let's give Harold a round. Oh, sorry.
Carol's not here to tell you, but Carol worked for the public lab by the hospital.
Yep.
And when she got married, then her job becomes like a part-time because she can do it as long as no man wants it. If a man comes along and wants that job, she's got it.
So that was the lab, provincial lab building by the, I remember that, yeah.
When my parents got married, they worked for the same company,
Yeah.
and, they were told that one of them had to quit.
My mother had to give up her job from the federal government when she got married in the 50s. So it's, yeah.
It's not that far away.
Yeah. Anyway, I just want to invite people to give Harold a round of applause. Please stay and pester him. If we have a merch table, we're going to sign up for be a volunteer at Royal's House. Here's a sign up sheet, and we've got some books and things for sale. And thanks for coming. And just watch for next month. We've created a Facebook event. We're going to have a talk on the 23rd of March, I think at 1 o'clock.
It's already on.